Okay, this is test number 9 study guide from sections 1.1 all the way up to 3.8. First problem asks, what is an identity? An identity means it's going to be a true statement at the end, which means any number you plug in is going to make it correct. Easiest way to do that is to go ahead and simplify uh, each of these equations. We'll start with the first one. 3w and negative w can go together. 3w minus w leaves you with 2w plus 4 equals 4w. We need to distribute negative 2 right here. Negative 2 times w is negative 2w, and negative 2 times negative 2 is plus 4. Uh, Simplify everything on this line now, 4w and negative 2w. And on the left, we have 2w plus 4 equals 2w plus 4. Again, that's the same thing on both sides, but if you need to, you could take it down one more step. Negative 2w to move it to the other side. Got to do the same thing here. Those will cancel and leave you with 4 equals. Those cancel 4. That's a true statement right there. Anytime you have a true statement, it is an identity problem. So this one is your identity. Quickly to check the other ones to find out why they're not identity problems. Distribute this negative to both things. So 9 minus 3v minus 4 equals negative 3v minus 5. So 5 minus 3v equals negative 3v minus 5. Difference between this one is you have negative 3v in both of them, but you got positive 5 and negative 5. So that's why that one's not an identity. For this one, you need to simplify. You need to go ahead and do your like terms, 4m and negative m there. So 3m minus 3 equals 3m plus 6. So without even going any further, you got 3m in both of them, but for this one you got negative 3, this one you got positive 6. That's why it's not an identity. And then the last one, you can see this one without doing any work. You have negative 6y in both of them, but this one's positive 7, that one's negative. That one's not an identity. Number 2, we're solving 4 over 7, x minus 6 equals 2. Anytime you're undoing problems, you want to do addition and subtraction before multiplication and division. So undo, subtract 6 by adding 6. You subtract 6 on the left, you need to do the same thing on the right. We left with over here 4 over 7x. These will cancel each other out, equals 8. So 4 over 7 times x. In order to undo multiply, we're going to divide, but this week we said instead of showing that middle step, by dividing by 4 over 7 and then using the reciprocal and multiplying, we'll just go ahead and jump right to multiply the reciprocal. So instead of dividing, we're going to multiply by 7 over 4. Remember, the reciprocal just means to flip the fraction. That will cancel both of these out and leave you with just x. But if you multiply the left side by 7 over 4, you got to multiply the right side by 7 over 4. Everything's considered over 1. Then cross cancel. You can see that there's one number that goes into both 8 and 4. The number 4 does. It goes into itself. The number 4 goes into itself one time, and it goes into 8 2 times, and then you multiply straight across. 2 times 7 is 14, and 1 times 1 is 1. You don't need to include that over 1. So x equals 14. Number 3, 6 equals negative d plus 5. Again, undo your addition and subtraction before your multiplication and division when you're undoing problems. It says plus 5, so undo that by subtracting 5. That'll cancel itself out. You subtract 5 on the right, you got to subtract 5 on the left. 6 minus 5 is 1 equals, we still have negative d here, or negative 1d, which means negative 1 times d, and in order to undo that, you divide. We want to keep d, so divide by negative 1. That'll make it cancel out. Divide the right by negative 1, you need to divide the left by negative 1, and a positive divided by negative d equals negative 1. Number 4 says 36 minus 5 plus 6q equals 103. You need to combine your like terms first, 36 and negative 5. When you do that, you get 31 plus 6q equals 103. Then you need to undo your addition and your subtraction before your multiplication and your division. So this says positive 31, which is the same thing as plus 31. Undo that by subtracting 31. Subtract 31 on the left, you need to subtract 31 on the right. That'll cancel out and leave you with just 6q. Subtract 31 on the left and it leaves you with 72. 6 times q means In order to undo it, you divide by 6, and it'll cancel. You divide the left by 6, you need to divide the right by 6. Q equals 12. Number 5, 3 times y plus 5 equals 36. 3 is outside the parentheses. You need to distribute it. 3 times y is 3y. 3 times 5 is plus 15 equals 36. Now we need to start undoing things. Undo addition and subtraction, then multiplication and division. It says plus 15. Undo that by subtracting 15. Subtract 15 on the left. Subtract 15 on the right. This will cancel out, leave you with just 3y equals 36 minus 15 is 21. That means 3 times y. So to undo that, divide by 3. Divide on the left, you need to divide on the right. These will cancel out, leave you with y equals 21 divided by 3 is 7. Number 6 says 2p over 3 plus 5 equals negative 3. Again, we're starting to undo stuff, addition and subtraction before multiplication and division. Undo plus 5 by subtracting 5. Subtract 5 on the left, subtract 5 on the right. We're left with over here 2p over 3. These cancel, equals negative 3 minus 5, same sign, add them up, becomes negative 8. 2p over 3 means 2p divided by 3. In order to undo that, you multiply by 3. Cancels these out and leaves you with just 2p. But if you multiply the left by 3, you have to multiply the right by 3. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. 2p means 2 times p, so divide by 2. Divide the left side by 2, you need to divide the right side by 2. These will cancel out and leave you with just p. Negative 24 divided by 2 is negative 12. P equals negative 12. Number 7 says 3.4x plus 2.4 equals 9.2. Again, we're starting to undo addition and subtraction before multiplication and division. Plus 2.4, you undo that by subtracting 2.4. Do it on the left side, you need to subtract 2.4 on the right side. This will cancel, leave you with 3.4x equals 6.8. 3.4x means times 3.4, so divide by 3.4 to cancel. Divide the left by 3.4, you need to divide the right by 3.4. Leaves you with x all by itself equals 2. Number 8 says 6x minus 9 equals 4x minus 7. Now we have variables on both sides. We need to bring all of our variables to the same side. So 4x is smaller than 6x. So let's bring that one over. It's positive 4x. That means plus 4x. Undo that by subtracting 4x. Subtract 4x on the right. You have to subtract 4x on the left. 6x minus 4x is 2x. Minus 9 equals, these will cancel out, negative 7. Bring everything that's not a variable term to the other side. It says minus 9, so undo that by adding 9. You add 9 on the left, you need to add 9 on the right. You're left with 2x on this side. These will cancel each other out, equals negative 7 plus 9 is a positive 2. 2x means 2 times x. Undo that by dividing by 2. Got to do the same thing on the other side. X equals, these cancel out, 1. Number 9 says 5d minus 4d minus 3d plus 2 equals 3d. Combine all of your like terms, 5d and minus 4d and minus 3d. 5 minus 4 is 1d, minus 3d is negative 2d, plus 2 equals 3d. Just bringing everything else down. Now put all of your d's on the same side. That means we need to bring this negative 2d over. It says minus 2d, so add 2d to cancel it out. Add 2d on the left, you need to add 2d on the right. These will cancel out, leave you with just 2 equals 3d plus 2d is 5d, or 5 times d. Undo that by dividing by 5. Do the same thing on the right as you do on the left. Divide by 5. These will cancel out, leave you with just d. No number goes into both 2 and 5, so it's simplified 2 over 5. Number 10 says, just reading it, it says a customer went to the garden shop and bought some potting soil for $10.50. and he bought 4 shrubs. The total bill was for $44.50. Write and solve an equation to find the price of each shrub. $10.50 is what he spent on potting soil. Plus, he bought 4 shrubs, which we need to find the cost of each shrub. So we don't know the cost of each shrub. That's an unknown. That's a variable. So 1050 plus 4 times x equals his total price, which was $44.50. In order to find out what each shrub costs, you need to undo your addition and your subtraction, then your multiplication and your division. This is a positive 1050, so you undo plus 1050 by subtracting 1050. Subtract 1050 on the left, you need to subtract 1050 on the right. This will cancel out, leave you with just 4x on the left, and 44.50 minus 1050 is $34. So in order to that says 4x. In order to undo that, it means 4 times x. Undo it by dividing by 4. Divide the left by 4. You need to divide the right by 4. These will cancel out, leave you with just x equals $8.50. So each shrub costed $8.50. Number 11 says the unit rate of 1,930 parts made in 3 hours. Rounded to the nearest integer, or find the unit rate is what the problem says. 1,930 parts made in 3 hours. If you forget which one to do it with, to put over the bottom, it says the unit rate, you're looking for parts per hour. That's the order we have it in. If you look here, parts per hour. When you divide 1,900 by 30, you get 643.3. It keeps going. It says to round to the nearest integer. That means no partial numbers, no decimals. So only what we consider whole numbers. So 643 parts per hour. Next one says 32 ounces for $1.92. Find the cost per ounce. So cost per ounce. So the cost is $1.92, and the ounces are 32 ounces. When you do $1.92 divided by 32, you get $0.06 per ounce. So 6 cents per ounce. Number 13 says 55 miles per hour, find feet per minute. 55 miles per 1 hour. Feet per minute. In a mile, there are 5,280 feet. That's not something I expected you to know, but it's something that it'll do you some good if you learn that number, 5,280. You're trying to convert units. If you want to go from miles to feet, you want to multiply by something over miles, because there's miles at the top and miles at the bottom. So how many miles or how many feet are in a mile? 5,280 feet. We're not just going from miles to feet, we're going from hours to minutes. So you want to make sure you have hours at the bottom right here. You want to put 1 hour at the top right here. And then how many minutes are in 1 hour? 60 minutes. Miles cancel out. Hours cancel out. You're left with feet over minutes. And when you multiply 55 times 5,280 and you divide it by 60 minutes, you have 4,840 feet per minute.